Hello, everyone, and welcome to Diaries of a Drag Artist with your host, Juice. Today, I have a very special guest with me. It's going to be Sharon Stargasm, the revolutionary rock star of San Marcos. Go ahead and say hello.
Hi, guys. What's up?
They've been performing for about 3 years now, and yeah, they are great. They've inspired a lot of other people to start drag. They've been around San Marcos, Corpus Christi, Austin, Texas, and of course, San Antonio as well. Yeah, so we're going to be doing a little back and forth today, almost like an interview style. So yeah, the first question I'm going to ask, just tell us a little about yourself. I know I gave a quick little bio, but if you want to throw anything else in there, please feel free.
Hi, I'm Sharon Stargasm. I am the revolutionary rock star of Central Texas. I kind of got my name because when I started out, and still do, I do political performances. I really use my drag to talk about things that are going on. I like to have fun. I'm a demon kind of genderless thing sometimes, but sometimes I'm doing some political numbers and ripping Greg Abbott's head off.
As you should.
But yes, I also am a founding member of the House of Metamorphosis. We are a nonprofit drag troupe that we are raising money to get a community-owned queer space since ours closed, and we've been doing that since the beginning of Pride Month.
In 2023, right?
2023, yes. So
awesome.
It's almost hit a year.
That's it. Just so y'all know, I am one of the co-founders of the House of Metamorphosis as well. But, yeah, we've all worked really hard to kind of build a community since Stonewall has been shut down. When Stonewall got shut down, that's really what kicked us into gear about it, but we've all been wanting to perform and do something important together for a long time. So it feels good to, have that push behind us to really get us going. It's, of course, a sad thing, but at least it inspired lots of good as well in our community. Not that we have very much good in the community yet, but we're working on it. So the first thing I wanted to ask you about drag is going to be, what made you want to start drag?
I came up around a lot of really wonderful performers. What made me really want to start drag was just being around other drag artists, honestly, coming up in Stonewall and just seeing all these drag artists really just be themselves and just be really beautiful and admired and dance and just have fun. Honestly, it just looks like a hell of a lot of fun, honestly. But someone who really inspired me to start drag was Calor, actually, the Heat of San Marcos. San Marcos the Legend. Miss Stonewall Valentine 2020. Pre-COVID was wild, young.
So I also wanted to know a little bit more about you as a person. So when you were a kid, what were you like?
My mom says I was hard-headed. I actually have a scar in my eyebrow because she told me it was time to go, and I went, and I ran, and I slammed into a door frame, and I split my head open. So needless to say, I'm hard-headed as hell. Very,
From the beginning,
I am very stubborn. But I'm also very hardworking, and when I want something, I always go for it, and I usually get it. But yeah, when I was a kid, I was just a lot to handle. I was really awkward as a kid. I didn't really speak a lot. I'm pretty sure I have autism, and maybe that's why I was nonverbal for most of my life. But I was also severely bullied when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I was not cool at all.
I feel like that's pretty relatable to most drag artists these days.
Yeah, I mean, I was very visibly queer from the time I was very young. People would call me a boy or tell me I was really tall or fat, or when I got a little bit older and I started learning more words, they would call me dyke and whatever. But they very much did not like me. And honestly, I made a group of friends when I got to middle school, and as we grew up, we all were gay. Every single one was gay or trans or both, Yeah,
I feel like it does work out that way. What did they say? Birds of a feather flock together. Yeah. So do queers. We also flock together.
And hatch.
Birth and hatch. So when you got a little bit older and you were in school as a queer person, would you say you were oppressed more or supported more by your peers and teachers?
Honestly, I wasn't supported by anybody until I was, like, in theater. And the only teacher that ever supported me was my theater teacher, Mr. Matthews. Throughout high school, I was in sports for the first half of high school, and they did not like me at all. They honestly, they wanted me to fail, and I never felt like any of them wanted me to succeed. Like I said, like, it very much was like, oh, little Betty, who's a size 4 and blonde, is gonna get all this, but then I'm, like, trying really hard, and just because I can't run a mile, they're gonna be like, well, this fat bitch can't be on this team, or, like, whatever, you know, sit on the bench, whatever. Even though I was the tallest on the team, and I could hit like a mofo, like, I was so good, but anyways, they're very much, like, it was a popularity contest, and I was not what they were looking for. And then I actually broke my ankle, and I was on the bench, and then my coach wouldn't let me get in because she was a raging biatch. Also probably transphobic. But when I got to theater, I actually found my tribe, and I really blossomed, and I actually started talking and making friends and, like, starting a sense of style. I was weird as hell in high school, but I would wear the coolest outfits. Like, I'd started wearing hats because I was like, why does nobody wear hats anymore?
That's so real.
And I just started wearing hats, and everybody would ask me, are you going to a funeral? I'm like, no, I'm just fabulous. Like, and
I'm just built like that.
I think that's just, like, the energy I've always kind of had, and, like, that's how, like, I'm Monroe, but that's kind of, like, what Sharon was, like, born from, you know? Like,
yeah, an extension of yourself, right?
An extension of myself, but it's also, like, that person that I never got to fully be because of how I was treated in high school and how I was treated throughout my life. And, like, Sharon is kind of, like, my gift to my younger self of, like, now you get to be everything you didn't get to be when you were that. Like, because you were scared, because you were in an environment where it wasn't safe, you know? Yeah,
and typically, most, venues and places that'll have drag artists, it's more of a safe space, especially, 100% for queer people.
Mm-hmm. Especially when it's queer-owned.
Yes, especially when it's queer-owned. But whether or not, if they're having a drag show, most times there's at least one queer person at the bar or whatever. That's going to make it safe for you. So if you are ever nervous about going to a drag show, you're scared about anything like that, don't be, come out, support.
A very safe space.
And if you ever want to start doing drag, look in a little more about that. There's a lot of ways to do that locally.
Even just in your room, like, bedroom queens are a thing. Like,
yeah,
so many queens
everyone starts on TikTok these days. Yes. Everybody's on TikTok.
I never started on TikTok. I'm old. I don't know how technology works.
I'd be on the TikTok lives with the grandkids.
That's what happens when you start dragging Katie Lake.
Oh. Earlier, I heard you reference something called the House Metamorphosis. I wanted to ask you a little bit more about how it started, how it's going, and if there were any other specific organizations or groups that inspired you when deciding to create something like this.
So, honestly, like, I'm gonna backtrack. You asked me 3 things in that question, but okay. Yeah. The House Metamorphosis. We are a nonprofit drag troupe. We started before even, there was, like, we weren't established before Stonewall, but we had talked of it. You know, we had been planning since Corpus, when we all lived there, that we were going to start a drag house. We were going to, like, start this thing, and we're all going to be it, and we're going to be the House of Metamorphosis. And then Stonewall closed, and we were living in San Marcos, and I came up in Stonewall, and I, like, came up going there, and, like, I started drag there. And really, it left, like, a really big hole in the community, and, like, I felt like so many people were like, I just don't, like, know where to go, like, everybody's scattered, like, there's not one place where all the queer people are at, or anybody really feels safe on the square. Because the square is, like, dominated by all straight bars, you know? And so, like, and especially when Stonewall closed, like, a couple of venues were like, okay, we're gonna have some drag shows, but, like, very quickly those fell off, like, and it just wasn't the same. And since Stonewall was gone, like, this mecca that used to be, like, the center for drag was gone, and now all these houses that used to exist don't really exist anymore, and people don't really want to have drag shows around town because there's just not that mecca in San Marcos anymore, and people just were really unwilling because we lost that, you know? And me, being someone who lives in San Marcos, I don't want to drive to Austin or San Antonio to have community. Like, I want community in my own backyard. Yeah. So I decided on my birthday, okay, I want to have a drag show, and it's going to be clown themed. So that was the first house show we had, but it wasn't an official House of Metamorphosis show. But we had we had speakers and a little karaoke mic. It was not good and it was bad, but it was fun and everybody had a lot of fun. And so then we were like, okay, we're gonna do this for our other roommate's birthday. And so we did, and that one was our Pride show, and it was the very first official House of Metamorphosis show that we ever did.
And it was a Pride show because it was in June. Just in
Yes,
case you didn't know, June is Pride Month. We will take it back there in the history another time. But June is Pride Month. Also, same-sex marriage was legalized in June, so that is a big part of now why it is always celebrated in June. But yeah, just in case y'all needed a little history lesson.
Yeah, so we started in June, so yay, Pride.
Yay, Pride!
When the gays crawl out from under the rocks they live in, once a year. Twice a year, actually. They come out for Halloween, too, but...
Dressed up.
But yes, the House of Metamorphosis, we kind of started just, like, in the living room, and as we, like, have grown, we've had multiple fundraisers, really successful. We've gotten to be invited out to some really cool places. We're planning, like, really big things for this next year with, like, productions and stuff. And it just grows a little bit more every single day, and, like, word of mouth travels so fast. Like, I feel like every time I go out in town, people, like, are talking about the House of Metamorphosis, and it, like, really warms my heart how fast of a community we've kind of built, because, like, there's not really a space for anybody, and, like, it's really important for especially people our age to have that, because, like, yeah, maybe there's, like, the Golden Girls who have their, like, stuff, you know, but, like, they're not catering to people our age, and, like, it's really important, especially for people our age who still might not be completely out or even comfortable with their identity, to be around other queer people in that space so they feel comfortable to have that expression of self and that, like, personal relationship with their identity and personal relationship with the community with people who share that identity.
And I'd say that goes heavy for all of the young queers that want to start drag, because your drag persona is its own identity in itself often. Yeah, it might, like, reference yourself and stuff, but often you're almost playing a character. So there is a lot of separation involved from it, from your person to your drag. So once you are around more people who are like-minded like you and you understand a lot more about yourself, you'll feel a lot more confident deciding what you want to do in drag. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there and let y'all think about that a little bit. Hey guys, sorry about that. We got cut off a little bit, but we are back. The last question I asked was, what was your goal with drag?
And it was to start the queer space, and just basically, also, I don't know, I want to start this queer space and I want to get it set up, but it's not my entire life goal. I want to get this queer space, I want to get it set up. It's not my entire life goal. I want to just work on my art, and I want to create things, and I want to push my drag past the boundaries, but I'm going to get this queer space set up first so that anybody who's still here in San Marcos once I'm long and gone will have a safe space that is community owned and operated, because that's what we need. But I'm just here to set up that structure.
Period. Next thing I wanted to ask was for you to tell me a little bit more about you as a person. What were you like as a kid? And also, how was school? Did you go to public or private school? And did you notice more oppression or support from your peers and teachers?
My school experience was high-key traumatizing. Like I said, I grew up really tall. Like, I was 5'9" by the time I got into middle school. I was super freaking tall, and I was really fat, and, like, and not that I was, like, even, like, that fat, but, like, I was fatter than the skinny white girls in my class. So I just really got bullied a lot for being different, and I guess I was, like, masculine, or I guess I, like, everybody saw that I was gay, even though I didn't know I was gay, but, like, people would, like, call me a lesbian, or, like, tell me I liked girls, or, like, told me I would look like a boy, or, like, whatever, or, like, call me a dyke, or, like, whatever, you know, just, like, literally bullying me from the time I was, literally the first day of kindergarten. Literally the first day of kindergarten was, like, the first time I ever got bullied, and I walked outside on the playground, and 6 girls, like, held me down and, like, kicked rocks on me, and, like, chased me around the playground the entire day. Yeah, it just, like, stuff like that happened my entire life, like, up until I was in high school, and I stopped cowering at the bullies, and I just was like, you know what, I'm not somebody who's gonna like fight back physically. Well, maybe now I am, but I definitely was not somebody who was gonna fight back physically or even fight back verbally to it. I was very passive and I was very quiet, like very honestly nonverbal up until the time I was a junior in high school. Theater really helped me break out of my shell and like just really helped me become who I am today and like be able to speak my mind, and like now I speak my mind in front of an entire room of people on the regular, you know? And I have a lot to say, and I feel like I was quiet for so long and I have so much to say, and that's why I feel the need to say it all the time, just because I don't know. I don't like when people are complacent when things are wrong. I can't stand when I see an injustice and like nothing is happening, you know?
Yeah, that actually leads into my next question, which is crazy. It was, how has the current political climate of the world and other world issues influenced your drag?
The world is ducked, to say the least. Duck, turducken, folded up, it's stuffed. We're living in a time where passiveness is really not an option anymore. We are living in a time when we need radical change quickly, or things are going to get bad quickly. And I think I'm not the only one that feels this way. Many people in my generation do. I'm just loud about it. And I like to make it a joke in my drag sometimes, but I like to bring like seriousness to it, you know? Like trans youth not having healthcare, like threatening to be taken away in the foster system over threats of child abuse because of them receiving medical care. That's ridiculous. Like that's something that we need to like fight over. And like people trying to suppress our freedom of speech because they want to claim that we're indoctrinating children when they're the ones actually groping children, and there's like so many cases of them actually like molesting children. Like it's crazy the fake news that like people try to put on queer people to suppress our rights. And we're living in a time where fascism is on the rise, and they want to suppress us. They want us dead. They are allowing these people who want to spread this hateful rhetoric about literally murdering us, lining us up against the back of a wall and shooting us in the head, stuff like that. Like they're allowing that to happen. That's literally, in any other context, they would be called a terrorist, but because they're talking about queer people, they're allowed to say it. It's free speech for them. But God forbid a drag queen is shaking her fake titties, because that's grooming children and indoctrinating children. It's honestly, there's just no other way to put it except I am a free-thinking radical and I need to express myself in any way I can, and drag is the most radical form of expression in my eyes that grabs people's attention. Like drag is love, drag is light, and people are drawn to it because it is those things. Yeah. It's not born out of a place of hate or darkness. It's born out of a place of wanting to just be yourself and breaking through that barrier of hate and shame and fear that is placed around us because they don't want us to exist as queer people. And so Sharon Stargasm is kind of a warrior in my eyes. Like, that's how I feel when I am them. Like, I can do anything. Like, I can take anything on because they are that revolutionary that has been just called here to do these things because somebody needs to. And I admire so many people in the scene who do that, like Bobby and like Venus and like and Gothis, like all these people who like speak their fucking minds on the mic because we need to hear it. We need to talk about these things. We need to talk about the hard things, especially in these spaces, because it's easy to have fun and it's easy to forget, but it's in those spaces where people are most likely to listen to you, you know? Yeah. And then one more question. Is there anything specific you want to share with the audience before we leave? I just want to let y'all know, like, if you don't have a community, make your own. Like, it's fun. And it really builds, like, community. And community is what we need to be able to get us out of this shit pit that is this isolationism of America. And, like, that's what they want. They don't want us to be together. They want us to be isolated. They want us to be separated, because when we're separate, we're not as powerful as we are together. And fascism, like I said, is on the rise in America, and they don't want queer people to be alive. They don't want us here. They don't want us to have kids. They don't want us to, like, have businesses. They don't want us here. And us building our community up with each other makes that connection stronger. I get a lot of... for the past couple of years, I've gotten a lot of people who have told me just thank you for being yourself. And I didn't really understand that for a long time, but me being myself allows people to feel comfortable to be themselves. Me being confident allows people to be able to be confident. And I want to just keep being the best role model I possibly can be. I don't know what's right all the time. I try my best to listen, but I don't know what's right all the time. But I feel like just lead with your heart and you'll know what to do. And that's what drag is. I always just lead with my heart.
All right, everybody, that was Sharon Stargasm. And this has been Diaries of a Drag Artist. I hope you guys like the podcast. This is just the first episode, so make sure you tune in for the next upcoming ones. Next, we are going to have Mixed Cutthroat February, Claw Mattia, so y'all better tune in. We love her here. So yeah, thank you guys so much for listening, and tune in next time. Where that they can find you, Sharon Stargasm. Where can the people find you?
God, the people, they want to find me. Oh, we can find me at your mother's house.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. But you can find me at mother_queer with 3 E's. That's it, mother, and that's MOTHA_QUEER. And you can also find us at the House of Metamorphosis. I'm not gonna spell that one for you. Metamorphosis.
Everything in the at the House of Metamorphosis is spelled exactly how it sounds. If you need help, find a dictionary. Thank you so much, and we will talk to y'all later. Yeah, thank you. Bye.